Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages,
Good evening, cats and kittens. It's Tuesday, the 11th of August. I'm Dave McClelland. Welcome to Mockdown Confidential, where we're going to slip on a little jazz. We're going to pour ourselves a long, cool drink, slip into your silkiest pajamas, and perhaps even that little satin chemise there, Derek. Yeah, looks good on you. We're going to have a special one-to-one with a special guest this evening. First of all, though, I want to remind you, I don't do this for the fame and the fortune. I do it to keep myself occupied during lockdown. And so I'd like to remind you that there are some people in the entertainment business not doing well during this period of lockdown. So if you'd like to help out, the Equity Benevolent Fund is helping people keep afloat during this time of crisis. Down below, you'll find a link to the Benevolent Fund and the Benevolent Fund YouTube page, where you can watch videos by famous people and make donations directly. That is enough of my pitch for the Benevolent Fund. It's time to bring in my special guest for the night. My special guest is an actor, director, a playwright, an author, a producer, dad to 4 lovely offspring, and the man that I have kissed more than any other man in the world, from Amherst, Nova Scotia in Canada. My friend, it's Mr. Charlie Rhindress. There he is.
Hello, Dave. So many things to say about that opening.
I know.
We could talk for an hour just about your opening.
I know. And I can tell you're moist already.
I am. I'm wet. I'm soaked. The temperature currently in Amherst, Nova Scotia, Canada, is 27 degrees with a humidex of 35. So
well, it's 27 here. We don't know, but they don't tell us a humidex. They don't tell us here.
It's probably best that they don't.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure it's quite moist-inducing. I must say, if you hear any wind noise this evening, it's not my appalling flatulence or Charlie's. It is that we have fans here and there to keep ourselves as cool as cucumbers during this special confidential show. Charlie, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I need to talk about your opening, though. That was wonderful. You had 2 countdowns. You had a video card and intro. I'm so impressed. And you didn't tell me ahead of time. I didn't know what to expect, but I am wearing pajama bottoms. So there you go.
Are they silky?
More cotton, but they're very yeah. I'll pretend they're silky for you. Anyway, how am I? I'm good at that. What's that? Sorry.
Are they moist?
They will be by the end of our conversation.
I know. Charlie, go on. Tell me. Here we are into what week of lockdown since everything went to hell in a handbasket. How many weeks is it now?
Well, it was mid-March. I remember like Friday, March 13th, I think was Heather's last day of school. That's my partner. And she came home for her March break, and things have not been the same since. So we're talking about 5 months. So yeah.
Crazy, isn't it?
Here we are.
Oh, we've had a couple of comments already.
Oh, really? I didn't even know we had any viewers, but there we go. Look at that.
Craig is tearing up with laughter. And my good friend Vernon McPhee says, "Speak moistly, boys."
I'll do my best. I'm going to keep hydrated with my Diet Coke so I can speak moistly. Actually, and when you said something about grab a drink, so I don't have a big liquor cabinet, but somebody left some scotch here one night. So, maybe I'll drink it over the course of the evening. I don't know. Excellent.
Craig Galbraith says hilarious. I'm loving that we've got interaction already so early in the show.
I love that we have viewers.
I know, isn't it fun? And I don't go all through that rigmarole that you go through. Hang on, we've started, but we just have to put it on Facebook, what the address is, so everybody knows.
Well, to be honest, I was thinking, I wonder if I could share this as Dave starts, but I didn't have time. I usually get my phone out and share on my Facebook because
I'm putting a thing down here. If anybody wants to help me pay for the cost of this magnificent streaming service, I have a tip jar on PayPal, paypal.me.davidmcsee, and coffee.com Dave McClellan. If you can send a little my way to help pay for my excessive streaming costs, that'd be just wonderful. There we go. That's all my financial pitch done now.
Yeah. Well, you've gone fancy now, so you got to pay for it somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not doing the free StreamYard.
Yeah, exactly. But Charlie, it's you that inspired me to do this because you started. How many shows have you done now of your streaming show?
I believe we've done 19 so far, and ours was by accident. The Juno Award. Heather and I had. Okay, I keep wanting to back up a little. I've written 2 biographies, and quite often I get asked to do readings, but they're both musical biographies of artists that Canadians will know, but perhaps not your British audience, Rita McNeil and Stomp and Tom Connors. So whenever I did readings, Heather would come with me, and Heather's a musician, so she'd bring her ukulele and sing, and I'd read a bit about a certain song, and then Heather would sing that song. So we had sort of done that live a number of times, and then this year, the Juno Awards, which are Canada's Grammy Awards. What do you have in England? What are they called there?
The Brits.
The Brits. There you go. So they were canceled. And I said to Heather, well, I've got 2 books about musicians. Why don't we go online and we'll do a Juno show and I'll just read from the book and you sing. And then we had a nice reaction. And so we just kept doing it. And so 19 weeks later, we just took a little break for summer vacation because it takes a while to plan, as you know. You try to make it look off the cuff, but we spend about a day planning. So
yeah, just for me, the Mockdown show that I do on a Sunday nights, I normally have 2 or 3 guests. And it's a good few days of planning, arranging guests, and then getting all the graphics and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, you have to research all those people. Luckily with me, you didn't have to do any research because you've known me since I was 22. Well,
exactly.
Everything that happened, you were there.
I wrote, that was my brief intro to Charlie there. That was it. And the rest of it, I'm completely winging it. Do you know how long it is since I last saw you?
It would have been Live Bait's 30th anniversary in August of 2018. 2 years right now, I believe, roughly.
There we were.
Oh, look at us.
Yeah.
You're so skinny and I'm so chubby. Remember when we met and you were chubby and I was skinny?
Yeah. It's been a weight transference.
You lost 100 pounds. I found 50 of them.
And look at us there. That was in the same place. That was at Tignish, wasn't it? On the bridge there?
It was on the suspension bridge out near my parents' cottage. And that's Heather there with us.
I know. That is Heather. And that's a promo photo that you use for the Charlie and Heather show. Yeah,
that's actually, it was taken at our friend Carly and Dave's wedding. And then we were like, hey, that's the only good picture we have of us. But
no, you have more.
Oh, look, Dave. That's awesome.
We mentioned the Charlie and Heather show, and here's a little screenshot of it. But I thought, no, I've got to have a bit of video of the show because your show is quite something to behold. So we're just going to play a snippet from that right now.
Okay, wonderful. And we can change angles, and we have a special guest star tonight. So it's as Ed Sullivan would say, it's a really big shoe tonight.
Really big shoe.
So Dave McClellan helped us set all this up. So we asked if Dave, we've talked forever. Hey, Carol and Rick are here. Yay.
Nice.
That's great to see you. And Ron's there, which means Ron and Patricia and 1 or 2 of their kids and 1 or 2 of their dogs. And your Aunt Sue is watching. And Laura's watching from down in the States, down near Boston. Anyway, so we're excited to have everyone with us tonight.
Yes.
And, that needs plugged in. Could you plug that in? For some reason it got unplugged. So, yeah, like I said, we have a new Facebook page, The Charlie and Heather Show. So when we... Jim asked if the guest is clothed. I honestly don't know. It's Dave, and every time Dave is in. Anyway, I'll tell you. We'll talk about that in just a second.
Surprise.
Yeah. So when we talk about things and we reference things, we can share them on our page, so we can put links there and stuff afterwards. And so we're excited about that. So Dave helped us set this up, but Dave watches every week, and he's in England, and it's midnight there. And Patricia says no kids yet and 1 dog. Oh, and Darlene and Franny are watching as well.
Nice.
Anyway, Dave always tunes in and he leaves a comment saying he's watching us in bed naked. So, okay, we're going to bring Dave in now. And here we go. Let's see if this works.
Mom and Dad are watching.
Oh, and Heather's parents are watching. Hi, Don and Sharon. And now we're going live to England, my friends. Here we are. Oh, it's David McClellan. David McClellan.
With clothes. Yay! Dave, we can't hear you. Turn on your mic.
You're still muted.
Yes, at least down to the waist. I'm fully dressed.
Thank you, Dave.
Yes, Patricia asked too. Everybody's the McIntyres are watching. Patricia also wanted to know if you were clothed.
Yeah, I think everybody's tuning in to see if I'm dressed or not.
I know. To be honest, they're saying things like "yay" and "phew." I think they're relieved. But
Sorry,
whatever.
Amy.
Yeah,
That'd have been a really big shoe.
The next time you come back, we'll do it naked. If we need some training.
Excellent. Oh.
That's funny. I didn't know you had that clip. I'm watching. I don't watch myself often. I'm amazed how often I'm distracted by the comments.
Yes, yeah. It's funny though because you know exactly who's watching. But we do have some more comments. It's wonderful. It's because your audience is used to commenting. Did we say Craig said hilarious?
Yes, we did.
Craig said, "I love your banter."
Now, can I comment on that? Because Dave, I don't know. Before I started my show by accident, then you started a show, and now you've started another show. But long before any of this happened, you and I talked about having a podcast called Across the Pond or Two Old White Guys, because that's what the world needs more of, old white guys talking.
Yeah.
But we never did our own. How come?
Well, we didn't know how to do it. There wasn't the technology, and somehow, with this global pandemic, things happen, and everybody wants to get out there and give their message, and there we go. So
maybe now we'll do a podcast in addition to all our other stuff. You and I. Let's see how it goes. We might not be very entertaining.
The naked truth with Charlie and Dave.
I could take off some clothes now. No,
it's all right. It's okay. Mike says hi, and Mike says, "Is Ron Sexsmith a fan?" I do like Ron Sexsmith.
Yes, I'm certainly aware of Ron Sexsmith. He's not a fan of mine because I don't really have fans, but he was I bet he was a fan of Stompin' Tom. Most Canadian musicians, particularly male musicians, look up to Stompin' Tom.
Yeah, I know. Craig back again. Where is the promised nudity? I never actually promised nudity tonight. I just promised an intimate show.
I did. Craig, check Messenger. I sent it privately.
There we go. He'll send you those pictures later, Craig. You said you only had that one good photo of you and Heather. I found another one. See, that's good.
That's not too bad. Yeah. Heather looks lovely.
Look, you've got a tie on. Is that a Nova Scotia tartan?
Let's say it is, but I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I did a play, and I'm pretty sure I got the suit and the tie from a show I did. Because as you know, when you do shows, whether it's movies or plays, quite often they'll offer you the wardrobe at a vastly reduced rate. So every suit I've owned for the last 20 years is one I bought after a commercial or after a play or something like that. Yeah.
Especially if you're larger than an average bloke and they're never going to wear it again.
There you go.
Yeah. Nobody else is going to be that big. We don't need this. Give it to him. I have another. You mentioned earlier on that Heather teaches school. So how are things going with the getting back to school situation? Because I would imagine it's a bit tense. And then I saw this, and it's a Star Trek. So all the red shirts, and those red shirts are the teachers, of course, because they're going to be safe out there, aren't they? They've taken every precaution.
I don't even watch Star Trek, and I get that. I know the red shirts are the first to go.
Yeah. Every time.
Yeah, I mean, in Nova Scotia, we're really lucky. I think it's certainly in one of the best spots in North America, but probably around the world. I know there are other places that don't have any cases, but right now we currently have no cases. There were two, and they're resolved. So they are going back to school, but there is some trepidation. My sister has two small kids, and she's been quite vocal and in the press about it. That they're talking about right now, if you enter Nova Scotia, you have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks, and they're talking about getting rid of that rule and opening it up to the rest of Canada. And because there are over 1,000 cases in Quebec and Ontario, and those of us in Nova Scotia kind of want to keep our borders not necessarily closed, but if you come here, just go somewhere for a couple of weeks, make sure you're safe, and then you can roam about. So as long as they don't change that rule before school opens, hopefully we'll be okay. But I know the teachers are scared. They're nervous for sure.
I would be.
Yeah, and I mean Heather in particular is a music teacher. So she teaches kindergarten to grade 6. So if you have a regular homeroom, it's one thing, you're exposed to those 20 kids. But Heather may, and she's not even sure how it's going to work, but may end up seeing every kid in the school. That's the norm, that they all come to her over the course of a week. So
and thank goodness, so that in music nobody sings or plays an instrument or,
Well,
or
that's the
anything
thing.
like that.
She's been told they can't sing or play instruments, so she doesn't even know what she's going to teach them. So anyway,
They'll give everybody a drum and a stick.
there you go. She doesn't do that. She said they have. She yelled from another room. They have to have their own drum and stick because they're not allowed to share.
And well, you can encourage them to beat the COVID out of that drum. Beat the COVID out.
I think there was an American evangelist who was doing that, wasn't he? Praying the COVID out.
Yeah,
He died of COVID. I heard he died of COVID.
He didn't blow enough, did he? Obviously. But Craig says that they could play the ukulele.
Again, only if every kid has their own. Heather does have a full class set, but they can't share them. So
yeah.
I mean, unless she spends half the day sanitizing between each class, like there would be no time. Anyway, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. I feel bad for her and for, and I have a friend who's a teacher in Ontario, and it's much worse there. But there are cases there. It's densely populated. A lot of the kids take the subway and the bus to school. The person I was talking to has no windows in her classroom and bad ventilation. So
yeah. And the thing is, I mean, the government here is saying, it's safe for children to go back, but there are adults in that room with them, and there are adults all through the school, and those darling little children go home to see their parents and their grandparents, and Nanny, I've had a lovely day. I think any of the schools that open, and we're already seeing it in the United States, I think within a few weeks to a month, most of them will probably just be closed again. But yeah, that's just my guess. Heather says, I can't clean every... Oh, she has a comment there. Sorry. Yeah. It's my show. It's not your show. You can't tell me what the comments are. I know. Sorry, I'll read them, but I'll stay quiet. I'll pretend I'm used to doing my show where I can look at all the comments. There you go. Yeah, she can't clean it every uke after every class. I know, it's crazy, Heather. But the other thing, of course, is that darned Americans coming into Canada. Well, that's it too. Like, they're in theory they're not allowed, but if they own property here, or if they have dual citizenship, or they can come up with different reasons why. But again, they're supposed to self-isolate. But there have been cases where people don't follow the rules, and then they get fined $1,000. And I'm like, if they can afford to go on a vacation, what's $1,000? If they can do a big vacation to the States, what's $1,000? Send them home. Like, don't just fine them $1,000. Get them out. Like I used to love the United States. As you know, my first trip to the United States was with you, Dave. Boston, I believe it was, back in 1991. And I think that's right. But at any rate, I love the United States. I don't love the United States under Trump, or the 30 to 40% that support him and what's going on and down there. Right. I know. I feel bad for them. It's like watching your neighbors be abused. It's like you've got a neighbor and they're abused and you can't do anything. Yeah. No, it really is worrying. Oh, Craig is just mentioning, or if they're traveling to Alaska. Yeah. And that I was going to mention, on the West Coast, to get to Alaska, they have to drive through British Columbia, don't they? Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that a couple of the people who were caught, they just decided they'd stop and go for a hike somewhere in Alberta, and then they got fined $1,000. But yeah. Anyway, I just noticed my hair, because of the fan. It's like when you showed the other pictures, my hair was kind of down on my forehead, but with the fan, it's just blowing. I feel like I'm in a video. What did you say earlier? Something like BGs. BGs. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You're staying alive, Charlie. You're staying alive. Just barely, Dave. Just barely. Yeah. What was I going to say? I was going to move on to some other stuff, but I just realized I looked down at my list of photos, and I've got the photo in the wrong order. Oh no. Will you be able to tap it? Well, no, because I do it in a different way to you. It's all very interesting. Oh, Sharon Young says, two handsome dudes. I saw that comment. I was hoping you'd share. Hey, Sharon, just for you, we'll have some jazz come in here now. Thanks, Sharon. I can fix my hair. A bit of jazz just for you, Sharon. Two handsome dudes. Hi, Sharon. A lot of moistness. Yeah. Time for me to drink. Yeah, exactly. Charlie, we've known each other for quite some time now, and worked together on many things. I'm going to show the first show that you wrote. Oh no, I'm not. Oh, it has gone through to the photo that I wanted to show. Here we go. The first show that we did together at Live Bait Theatre. Lola Star builds her dream home, and you were the magnificent Lola Star.
I have to admit, I was pretty.
You still are, my friend. You still are.
Only 31 years ago, that picture, David.
By
1989.
golly. I still get that flashback to you putting on your girdle before the show and your legs shaved up to the knees.
Yes, and I believe I shaved my arms and put on fake fingernails and eyelashes every night. I used to show up, I think, about 6 o'clock for an 8 o'clock show.
Yeah. Craig loves it.
Now, Dave, I don't know. I'm not very good at being a guest. I'm used to being the host, so I just go where I want. So if I say too much, let me know.
No. Because
I was just going to say, you played my dog. Oh, perfect. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. You're dressed and looking glamorous, and I got stuck in a dog suit for the whole of the summer.
And your name was Eat Me. So I would often call to my daughter and you, who, when it was time to eat, time for dinner or whatever, and I'd yell, Tina, eat me. So delicately.
I know. Hey, Mike's loving that photo of you. Has she got a sister?
Well, I have two, but neither of them looks like Lola.
Hey, he's obviously getting moist.
I have 3 sisters. I forgot how many sisters I have.
It's like the Von Trapp family. It's absolutely crazy. But I'm going to now back up a little bit to the photo I was going to show earlier, because here we go. If I can get to this photo. There we go. Guilty, the story of the great Amherst mystery. And that was the first show that you wrote for Live Bait Theatre, wasn't it?
It was the first show first full-length play I ever wrote. Yeah, I wrote that it premiered in 1991, I believe it was, Dave. So, yeah. Look at you there, so young and little.
Well, I look at it and I go, gosh, I do look young there. It's crazy.
31 years ago. The funny thing is, I just today, I applied for funding from Arts Nova Scotia to write a book about the Great Amherst Mystery, and I was denied. So I'm sad about that, but whatever. They always turn me down for funding Arts Nova Scotia. But as well, I did apply earlier in the week. Netflix has a new program where they wanted Canadian people to pitch stories, and I pitched that as a film. So who knows?
Well, the funny thing is, it would make a wonderful film, and I think there's the woman in black type feel, all of that kind of stuff. It'd be absolutely perfect.
I can't believe if it was the United States, there would have been a couple movies and a TV series written about that story by now. For people who don't know, it's a supposedly true story about a young woman from Amherst, Nova Scotia, who was possessed by ghosts and demons, or it kind of fits into every category. It's got elements of Poltergeist, and it's got elements of The Exorcist, and it's got elements of The Omen, like all those different scary movies that have become standard now. All of them have, the Esther Cox is sort of the precursor to all of that. It was set in 1878, and it's Colin Wilson, who's a British writer who wrote a lot about the paranormal, called it the best documented poltergeist case of all time. And I wrote a play about. There's been some written about it, a couple books and stuff, but it's never been a film. I keep trying.
Well, you're the man to do it because you know all about Esther Cox, and we had some interesting times during the whole production of it. She seemed to be with us, didn't she, old Esther?
Oh my! It was spooky. All the creepy stuff that happened. I mean, you tell the story, but Kirsten Tuff played Esther, and first day of rehearsal, Dave, you guys went out to Ducky's. You tell that story.
Yeah, we just sat in the bar, and suddenly she just kind of threw this fit and landed on the floor, and it was like really crazy. It was like she'd become possessed.
Because we'd done that scene earlier in the day where
and then there were strange things, photographers coming and insects being in the lenses, and then the night that we opened, a thunderstorm coming in, and all the lights going out in the theater, and the block of shops opposite the courtroom where she was tried and found guilty burned down.
Where she was tried and found guilty of arson.
Yeah.
To the building. We started the show at 8 o'clock, a nice evening. All of a sudden, these thunderclouds move in, and just you were playing Walter Hubble, who we've called up his spirit. And just as you're about to talk about the electric lights in the room, this huge crash of thunder, and all the lights go out in the room, and the building gets burnt down in Amherst. It's pretty creepy.
Yeah, you can't tell me you're not messing with stuff there.
Well, Heather, you should bring me the Esther Cox doll if you don't mind. Could you? I have a doll now, Dave, of Esther Cox that someone in Amherst made, and they sell these dolls. Anyway, our cat recently had an infection, and he got picking at the infection, and the pus and blood exploded everywhere. And of all the spots in the house, thank you, Heather. All the spots in the house, he chose Esther to spurt blood and stuff all over. And we haven't cleaned it yet. I just leave it because I think it adds a little something to it. So that's my Esther Cox doll. And it says there, the ghosts, of course, wrote on the wall above her bed, Esther Cox, you are mine to kill. And that's what her little tag says.
Oh, Craig says that's Andrew's favorite scary story.
It was we had a lot of weird things happen. Heather was in the show, and she totaled or had a car accident, totaled her car right after one of the earliest rehearsal. What's that? After the first rehearsal? After the first rehearsal. And my ex-wife, when we decided to do the play the second time, we decided like on a Monday night, on Tuesday, she was in a car accident and totaled our car. It's just, anyway, it goes on and on.
Yeah. It's madness.
It was weird.
Yeah. But I mean, we talk about theatre. What is the current state of theatre now in Canada?
Well, for the most part, there's no live performance. Like Neptune Theatre, which is the biggest regional company on the east coast of Canada, has canceled all of next season. The Confederation Centre, which is, and I know you know a lot of this, Dave, but for your viewers who might not, Confederation Centre is a big, huge festival that's been going since the 1960s in Charlottetown, PEI. They do Anne of Green Gables and a lot of original Canadian work. Anyway, a huge theater and smaller theaters. Anyway, they canceled their whole summer. And that's the case with most things. Now, I did see Heather Rankin, who's a singer-songwriter here on the east coast of Canada, just announced she's doing something at the Gaelic College in Cape Breton. They're going ahead with some performances. So I think people are trying things that can be socially distanced or smaller audiences, but I'm reluctant to do a whole lot right now for a number of reasons. One, I'm worried that I can't keep my audience safe. Like, I don't want to be the person producing it and be worried that someone gets sick. But I also, as a performer, if you have a 500-seat theater and you put people 6 feet apart and they're all spread out, you just don't get the same reaction. Like when you go into a room and everybody is spread out and they're at the back of the theater, you have to say, everybody move down to the front, because there's something about that collective that makes a difference with an audience. So there's that, but there's also, we don't know what's going to happen. So I hate the idea of starting to rehearse a show and then 2 weeks from now, everything gets shut down. Like, it's just so unpredictable. So,
well, I mean, they say that, the possibilities of a second wave, but also you then run into that whole normal wintertime flu and how do you know which it is? Yeah.
So I've just been avoiding live stuff, which is why we do the online thing, because it gives us a chance to still be a little bit creative and tell some stories and engage with people. And it's free for everybody. They don't have to buy a ticket.
Exactly. I mean, I've done a few streaming things. We did a streaming play for Live Bait Theatre, didn't we?
That's right. Yeah,
I wrote a special, and it was wonderful to be a part of that.
Yeah. I said I wrote a dinner theater. It wasn't a dinner theater, but it was a dinner. It was in the style of the dinner theater we do, with really bad jokes. And, maybe people ate dinner. I don't know, but
I didn't. I was sitting watching it. It was great.
So I will say a couple of the benefits of COVID have been that you got to do a show at Live Bait. You wouldn't have done that show with us under normal circumstances.
No, exactly.
So it was fun to work with you again. Even me, like I work for the Anne Murray Center, British People. Do you guys know Anne Murray over there? Is she?
Well, I'm going to say because I know her. But of course people know the songs. If you start singing a song, they go, "Oh yeah,
You Needed Me," and Shadows in the Moonlight. Could I Have This Dance? Snowbird. Yeah. Anyway, I work for the Anne Murray Center, and every year Anne does this big luncheon where people from all over the world pay $200 to come and have lunch with her at the Anne Murray, and it's a big fundraiser for the Anne Murray Center. Well, this year we couldn't do that, so instead we did a Zoom call where people paid $50 and we spent actually 2 afternoons together, and Anne answered a question from everyone, and I got to moderate that. So I got to spend 8 hours on Zoom hanging out with Anne Murray as the moderator, which in a normal world I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So and even well, I don't know. Are you gonna? Sorry, I'm just rambling. Are you gonna talk?
No.
The Stephen King series that I'm doing.
I'm getting to that later.
Okay,
I'll start on that now.
Okay,
I'll start on that now.
I'll save that story for later. But
I'm going to start reviewing your career, Charlie Rhindress.
Oh, okay. Well, I just wanted to say, COVID has given opportunities that normally I wouldn't have had. Even I'm sure the conversations you've had with on your other Mockdown show.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have. I've been watching some of those, and those are great, and that wouldn't have happened in the old world.
It's funny. I love doing them. I love doing the prep for doing them. It's that element of hosting, entertaining. It's fun to do, and it keeps me occupied during all of this because theaters shut down, film and TV are starting up again, but I haven't got any of it. So it's what do you do?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's have a look at some more Charlie. Here we go.
Aren't
look
we
at that one.
Lady Enid, that was in The Mystery of Irma Vep.
Yes.
Who was I? I was Nicodemus in that.
Nicodemus Underwood.
Yes.
And I was Jane Twisden, wasn't I?
Sorry, yes, yeah. You weren't Lady Enid there.
No, you were Lady Enid.
Later.
There's me clutching you to my bosoms.
I was just telling Heather about that the other day. Do you remember every night before we went on stage, I believe I started as a woman and you started as a man. Yeah. And I would say, am I beautiful? And you'd say, do you remember?
Stunningly.
Yes. And then you would ask me,
am I gorgeous?
Oh, I thought it was handsome, but okay.
Am I? Oh, yes, because I was a man. Am I handsome?
Ruggedly.
That was it. Yeah.
We used to do that all the time. Anyway, Heather and I, somebody said something about "Am I pretty?" the other day, and I went, "Oh!" I had this flashback before we went on stage every night. Am I beautiful? Am I handsome? Yeah.
There we go. And your other pre-show ritual, of course, is the Diet Coke and the Kit Kat, wasn't it?
Yes, I used to eat a chunky Kit Kat and have my Diet Coke because I found the Diet Coke, got rid of all the phlegm in my throat. And
exactly. The chocolate creates it and the Diet Coke strips it away.
And a little sugar high. Other actors like to do vocal exercises and stretch. I'm not so much into that. No.
Well, I think that's why we've always got along so well, because we have a similar take to the whole acting thing. I mean, being on stage with you, I feel as though we have this psycho connection and we know where we're going with things, and we've got a good idea, and if you go somewhere I'll follow you, and if I go somewhere you'll follow me, and so we've got this knowledge of what we're going to do, and it's quite unique really on stage, because you often don't get that with a lot of people in the cast, and it's been a treat to do. We did tons of stuff.
Oh, I know. I love being on stage with you. Like you say, I know I can say something and I'll go, I'm setting him up a little on this, or the way I'm doing this, and then you follow, or
and I'll take it home.
Yeah, exactly. Or the other way around. I do remember unintentionally one time during one of those shows where we did multiple quick changes, you came out with your wig on backwards, and I reached over and turned it around and said, you flipped your wig. I think we kept it after that, didn't we?
Yes, I think we did. If something gets a laugh, put it in.
Exactly.
Now, you didn't only act with me whilst at Live Bait. Look who else you were with.
Dana Plato.
And look how young you were.
I know. That was
Last of the Red Hot Lovers.
It was the summer I got married, so it was 1995, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Karen was pregnant with Bailey, I recall. So yeah, Dana Plato, if people don't know, it was the Kimberly Drummond on Different Strokes, the TV show Different Strokes. And she'd come by some hard times. I had seen on Entertainment Tonight that she'd been arrested for holding up a laundromat, and I thought, she needs work. And I knew,
as you do.
I knew it would get us some attention, and I hired her, and she came to Live Bait, and that's another whole story. I could go on for an hour about the experience of working with Dana Plato. But
yeah, it was quite an experience, because she actually didn't turn up that first day, did she? They
called, and they'd asked for, I think we were paying her $15,000, and they wanted 10% down, and her manager called, and on like Thursday, she was supposed to arrive on Monday, and said, we've lost Dana, she's disappeared, she took the $1,500 and she's gone. Would you like Elizabeth from the Waltons, or it's possible we could get you Marsha from the Brady Bunch? And so, so it's the Friday before she's supposed to show up, because I remember I was getting married on Saturday the next day, and while they were offering me other former, actresses who had been big 25 years before or 30 years before, I was like, okay, look, I have to go, because I've got to go to Moncton right now to pick up my tuxedo, because I'm getting married tomorrow. Please leave me a message if you find her. She ended up showing up like on Tuesday. I think she was a day late, and she couldn't rehearse that first day because she had tremors and was wearing dark glasses. Anyway, it was awful. She was wearing glasses so we wouldn't see her eyes because she was having drug withdrawal. It was just anyway. It was she was a sweet. I mean, I'm sure you met her. Were you around that summer?
Yeah, she was absolutely lovely and sadly gone now.
Yeah. It's a sad story because she was talented and a sweet like if we went to the grocery store, she would stop and talk to every single person she met, and she would hug them and she'd give autographs. But she unfortunately had addiction problems that got the best of her. So yeah.
We did tons of stuff. We did quite a few 2- and 3-man shows. Here's one of them. This was a 3-man show. The complete works of William Shakespeare abridged.
That's probably my favorite time on stage ever. That show, I love that, Dave. Yeah,
I mean, it was a treat to do. We did the Canadian premiere of it. Somebody else later said that they were doing the Canadian premiere. That was a couple of years after we did it,
and we fixed that, didn't we? I remember writing to them.
Yes, indeed. And that was an absolute scream to do. I have another picture from that, and I want you to do the line that you say while you're dressed like that.
That was in my best Scottish accent. You murdered me babies, you killed me wife, and you shat in my stew.
There we go.
And that look at the end, you a stew. That's what that face is.
That's the line. That's the face. There we go.
You're lucky I remembered it. You guys should have warned me about that.
No, okay, I knew you would know it because it's just I picture you saying it all the time. Shat in my stew.
My university, they've only featured me once in their they have an alumni magazine that goes out, and I've only been featured in the magazine once, and I was actually on the cover, and that's the picture they used, me with that stupid look on my face
and a bad kilt.
Yeah, exactly.
A discussion of child star equivalencies, Craig says. Yeah, we like to cover all the bases on Mockdown Confidential. Here's a little soft jazz. There we go.
Now am I supposed to dance to this?
Yeah, we just, sway a little bit. It's good.
Drink.
There we go. Mockdown Confidential.
What have we got there? I used to do. Oh, Heather's dancing by in the back.
Yeah, she's trying to get in. She thinks it's the Charlie and Heather show again.
I know, it's killing her not to be involved.
I know.
She's left out.
Yeah, she'll go and get a ukulele and walk in the back anytime now.
Okay. Yeah. She's gone.
I know. There we go. Let me turn.
I used to pretend I was doing a late night jazz show, and I had a radio voice. I would pretend. We could both do that if you like.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So Dave, I've been doing theater for a long time.
It's funny when I go down in that voice, I always think of I am the morning DJ on WOLD. Harry Chapin.
Love that song. I love Harry Chapin.
Yeah, I know you do. You went on to do more shows that you wrote for Live Bait Theatre. Here's another one.
That's
never miss an opportunity to dress up as women, do we? Really?
We did not. I wrote that play for us so we could be dressed up as women. So that's you of the three standing people. You in the center and me in the polka dots.
Yeah.
We played Ma, and you played my mother.
Yeah.
Were you my mother or were you my husband's mother? I don't know. You were my mother or mother-in-law?
Your mother. Yeah, your mother. Yeah.
Mother,
And we've got Donnie passed out on the couch there. Oh, it's such a show. We had a lot of fun doing that, didn't we?
We did that one twice because we premiered it in 97, and then in 1999 we did the tour with Mulgrave, and that's the first time I ever slept with you when we were on tour. Remember, we had to share a bed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Was that the same occasion when I stood on your glasses?
That was, yes, because I always take my glasses off at bedtime and set them beside the bed, and you stepped on them. That's all right.
I'm still riddled with guilt.
It's all right. I have new ones now. It was 21 years ago.
Yeah. Let's see what else we've got here. And another one, what you wrote.
Yes.
Elvis Presley is alive and well and living in Sackville, New Brunswick.
And you were a brilliant Elvis Presley.
Well, thank you very much.
We remounted that show 9 years later. I think it was 92 and 2001, and you played it both times.
Yeah.
But then you went on to play Elvis in England as well, right, Dave?
Yeah, in an episode of Emmerdale, of all things, they give me an Elvis suit. Why does a fat guy from Yorkshire keep getting to play Elvis Presley? I just don't understand.
You're just so good.
Oh, there we go. I must have the body of an aging, decrepit, fat Elvis. That's what it is.
He was dead at 42, so you're holding up well. You're beyond that a little bit.
Yeah, mind you, I mean, you think I'm not doing well having to wear the white jumpsuit, but look at those poor actors dressed in lycra.
I know, and we made them wear full green makeup. There were two aliens and Elvis. The premise of the show is that aliens arrive in Sackville, New Brunswick, and in "Take Me Leader to Your Leader" fashion, they hear that Elvis is the king, so they fly to Memphis and bring him back to life, and that's and that's it. You're not completely alive, though. And remember, you sang that song "All Shook Up" when they first brought you back to life, and you just fell down constantly throughout the whole song.
Yeah. I'm alive. And I did the pratfall. And I think it was during the first public show that I landed on my chunky bracelet and all the bones in my wrist popped out.
Oh,
and I pushed them back at the intermission and carried on.
Oh. You dyed your hair black for that, David. And when you were sworn in as a Canadian citizen, you had your black hair. Do you remember that?
Exactly.
You had Elvis hair.
It's crazy, isn't it? Here's another one that you wrote, Charlie.
Oh, that's when you were so good in that role.
Well, another cracking play from you here, but you are a huge Psycho fan. I was going to say Bates Motel, but I mean it is Bates Motel.
Same thing. Yeah.
And that was a really interesting play to do, wasn't it? It was just it got the twists and turns of Psycho, really.
Oh, well, that's what I was hoping for. It was called Gates Motel. The play came about, though. Even the idea for the play, you were there because we were driving through the United States. My sister had just married a man with the last name Gates. And I kept joking with them saying, oh, when you have a kid, you could name them Rusty or you could name them Pearl or Pearly, Pearly Gates, Rusty Gates. I thought I was very funny. They never found it amusing. And then you and my ex-wife Karen and I were on a trip through the United States. We were taking a back road through Bangor and could not find a hotel anywhere. And you two fell asleep. And I got thinking, what if we found this old motel and the person was obsessed with the movie Psycho? And what if his name was Rusty Gates? And you guys woke up and I went, okay, we got a hotel and I've got a new play. I think you're going to play the lead role, Dave.
Elvis Presley. Okay.
No, it was Rusty Gates. Elvis was the other one.
Oh, yeah.
But I always wrote with you in mind, though. I wrote Elvis for you. I wrote Walter Hubble for you. I wrote Rusty Gates for you.
And I love them. Love them.
And Grandma in the Maritime Way of Life. Yeah.
Yeah.
I only stopped writing when you started getting work at the Atlantic Theater Festival, like the seasons you weren't with us. Otherwise, you would have had roles in all my shows forever.
Yeah, work. There we go. What else have we got here? Oh, let's have a look at this one. We did crazy things, big musicals outdoors in tents.
18 wheels. Yeah. I got married in that tent.
Yeah. Was that the same year then?
I think it was. I think that was 95. I could be wrong. We did the tent a couple times, but I did get married in the tent. We planned our wedding around the live bait season, so we didn't have to rent a tent. Oh, look at us. Aren't we cute?
Yeah, and also young. It beggars belief, really.
Hard to believe those shows are 20 to 30 years ago.
I know.
Yes, that was the same summer because Rusty's there. So that's the same summer as Complete Works.
That's it, yeah.
And that was the Dana Plato summer as well, because I remember she was talking about coming to see Complete Works and never made it. So that was all 95.
Yeah. Look at that. You always... this is a good one. Culture shock. And I have a mousetrap on my crotch. As you do.
I didn't write that one. That was by Lauren Elliott, and you were so funny. I just love acting with you, Dave. I miss it.
We had a scream, didn't we? We really did.
Maybe we should read aloud some of the two-person plays we did. I don't know how we'd get the rights for them, but it'd be fun to do something like that.
Yeah. Talking of two-person plays.
Oh.
The Great Tuscan Springs.
Oh.
That was basically a show where we were just throwing wigs and hats on, and
someone saw that the other day and said, you and Dave always played women, didn't you? And I went, we're men there. That was our version of like Wayne's World characters.
Yeah, exactly. Can't you tell?
The 90s.
Yeah. And then we did another interesting one here. Duck variations.
Yeah, that was fun. I know you know this, Dave, so I'm telling the audience, but
I know. The audience
like,
want to know. You want to know, don't you, audience? You haven't said anything in quite some time, but I know
no,
you're still watching.
I don't want, you told me I'm not allowed to respond to the comments, but Craig wrote a poopy comment. I don't know if that's like, if he doesn't enjoy the show or what is it? Poop and what?
Poop and a bowl
Soup.
of, I
Poop
don't know.
soup?
Poop soup.
I don't know if that's
Heather says, we want to know.
There we go. Well, the show, I can't remember exactly how many. Is it like 12 to 15 scenes, probably, Dave? Short scenes that take place between. It's just these two old men having conversations. So Dave and I thought it would be fun to do the show in different locations or outdoors, because in theory, they're outdoors and they're talking about a swan pond or something, a duck pond, I guess. And so we did it all over town. We did a scene at the picnic table, and then we picked up, moved, and sat on a park bench and did it. Almost nobody followed us. I still think it was a very clever experiment, but no one cared.
Yeah, but looking back on it, that was social distancing.
There you go, social distancing play.
We're in a bubble, but we could have been that bit further apart.
Yeah, for sure.
So there we go.
You shat in my stew.
Yeah, shat in my stew. That was it.
There you go. Not poop soup. It's shat stew.
Thank you for clearing that one up. And then did you mention Dean Burry earlier? But Dean worked with Live Bay, and you wrote a musical with Dino.
I did. I wrote 3 with him, but this is the one you were in. It was called Home and Away, a hockey musical. Dean and I had written a show, a musical about werewolves. And although it was well received locally, it never got any further productions. And what we discovered was, I don't know, musical werewolves didn't do it for people. So we were like, well, let's write the ultimate Canadian musical so that, it'll be produced from coast to coast. So we wrote a musical about hockey. And then we discovered that people who like hockey don't necessarily like musicals, and people who like musicals don't necessarily like hockey. No one came to see the show. It's had 2 other productions. It was actually just done in Cape Breton, like this, just over a year ago. Was it just this year, Heather, or last year? Yeah, okay, February 19, 2019.
Is that Alexa you're speaking to there?
Yes.
Alexa, what year was it?
Yeah, in Canada, we call her Heather.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. If only you could write a musical about hockey playing werewolves, maybe.
There we go. I'll talk to Dean. We want to write another musical. We've written 3, but it's been a number of years. So he's now an opera composer, and he just won like a big Toronto theater, or Toronto's like one of the big cities in Canada, and their theater awards are called the Doras, and he just won a Dora award for best new opera. But maybe I'll get him writing musicals again someday.
Yeah, exactly. You did move on from Live Bait and do other things as well. Here's one of them.
Oh, yes. That was at Neptune Theater. I was a last-minute replacement on that. It was a show called Frankenstein, and one of the actors ended up leaving the production 3 days before the show opened, and I took over.
Wow.
Yeah, it was scary. Well, I guess it was Thursday I found out I was doing it. Friday was my first rehearsal. Yeah, and we opened on Tuesday. So,
good Lord.
That was scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun, though.
But going back to musicals, one that you did write was you'd always been interested in the story of Rita McNeil. And so you wrote Flying on Her Own, which is a nicely published play.
That's right. It's a published script. Actually, when they sent me that cover, that is a painting by Alex Colville, a very famous Canadian painter. One of his paintings just in the last couple of weeks sold for like highest price ever for a Canadian painting. I think it was $2.4 million, or maybe it was 4.2. I don't know, millions of dollars. But when they sent me that cover, I was like, oh, please judge this book by its cover. The cover is better than the play. And Colville, of course, is from or grew up in Amherst, where I live now, and where you lived when you were in Canada.
Exactly. I think we kind of felt we didn't recognize Colville for what he really was, because it was Colville all around in Sackville. There were rooms with Colville paintings on the walls, and it's kind of Colville, but that room was insured for millions, I think.
Oh, I know. Yeah, you and I did a show in that Tweedy Hall on the Mount A campus. It's a full mural of, I think, First World War Might be second. I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah, you and I did a show there. We happy for you.
Yeah.
In front of that mural.
So we mentioned Flying on Her Own. And for anybody who's unfamiliar with Rita McNeil, I'm going to play a little bit of Rita for you when I can get to the right thing. Here we go.
It's a working man I am, and I've been down underground, and I swear to God, if I ever see the sun, or for any length of time, I can hold it in my mind. I never again will go down underground. At the age of 16 years, he quarrels with his peers, who vowed they'd never see another one. In the dark recess of a mine, where you age before your time, and the cold dust lies heavy on your love. It's a working man I am, and I've been down underground, and I swear to God, if I ever see the sun, or for any length of time, I can hold it in my mind. I never again will go down underground.
Oh,
I love that song.
with the Men of the Deeps there, and
Yeah.
the mining helmets and everything. And the funny thing is that when I was looking for a clip from that, there was somebody on YouTube had posted a version of it. It's hugely popular in this area with Yorkshire miners, and miners from around the world, I think, have adopted that song as
Yeah.
their own. You know, it's all about going down a mine and getting coal out. You know.
Oh yeah, I know it's very big. The song's really popular in Wales and in China, and there are versions of it online in Gaelic and Mandarin and like different languages all over the world. And when you ask me, you know, what Rita song I would think if you were going to play one, it's that one has just become universal, and people don't realize it was written by a woman from a small, tiny town in Nova Scotia. It's sort of become this anthem. I think you told me about just walking. Wasn't there some shop you walked by and they were playing it on the speaker?
Yeah, in Blackpool, in Lancashire, walking past, and there's somebody I didn't recognize the singer, but somebody singing that song, and I went and I said, "What's that?" It's a CD. I wasn't going to indulge him any further, but there we go.
Yeah. So Rita, I was fascinated with Rita, and I loved her music. She's a Canadian folk singer, big in the women's movement, and I was obsessed with her early music, and I tried to write her a play for years, and then she finally let me write the play, and then that was done in around 2000, and then in 2014 or 15, I was approached by a publisher. They wanted a book about Rita, and where I had already worked, I actually got to work with Rita on the play, where I knew her a little bit and had done the play about her life. They asked if I'd write a biography, and I see you've got it up there.
Indeed. And #1 Nova Scotia bestseller.
Yeah, it hit a few bestseller charts, like in the Maritimes, and it was #1 in Nova Scotia. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was #1 at all chapters, at like the best-selling book at chapters for at least 1 week in Canada, like in Nova Scotia, like beating all books in all categories. So I think,
yeah.
So people love Rita in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, exactly. Craig asked if I'd put up my PayPal Me address.
Oh, okay,
again.
there we are.
Bless you, Craig. Bless you. But then from that, I mean, you moved now from writing for theatre to writing proper books, and you moved on from that to do another one.
I did. I was asked to write a second book called about Stompin' Tom Connors, and he's for your British viewers, a Canadian icon. Long before many people were singing about Canada, he was there doing it back in the 1960s, and he was so committed. He wouldn't leave Canada, and he told stories about Canada. He traveled and went to every small town across this country, and a lot of times, I mean, initially it was as a way to engage himself in that community. He'd show up in a town like Amherst, and he'd say, "So, what are some of the stories you have here?" And if somebody told him the story of the Great Amherst Mystery, he wrote songs quickly. They were the catchy little ditties. They're not complicated. It's not Philip Glass or It's simple little songs. But he'd write a song and then he'd perform it that night. And then when he came back through this way, say 3 months later, everybody'd be like, "Oh, let's go see that guy that wrote the song about the Amherst Mystery." So by the end of his career, he had songs about so many different Canadian either events or stories or characters, or some fictional and some real. So it's quite remarkable what he accomplished. And, he had a huge following. I know you saw him live. I never did.
Well, yeah. And I am actually mentioned in your book because it was through working at a radio station that I got to hear his stuff, and because you have to play so much Canadian content on the radio, and so it was always a good one because you can't get more Canadian than Stompin' Tom.
Yeah,
and they're simple songs, they're catchy, they're fun. In fact, let's listen to one. Here we go.
From Prince Edward Island on the east coast of Canada to Hamilton Place in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. It's Bud the Spud from the bright red mud, rolling down the highway smiling. The Spuds are big on the back of Bud's rig. They're from Prince Edward Island. They're from Prince Edward Island. Yeah, from Charlottetown or from Summerside, they load him down for the big long ride. He jumps in the cab and he's off with the brides of Bagels. He's got to catch the boat to make Clementine. He hits up that old New Brunswick line. To Montreal he comes just a flying with every big load of potatoes. It's Bud the Spud from the bright red mud, rolling on the highway smiling. The Spuds are big on the back of Bud's rig. They're from Prince Edward Island. They're from Prince Edward Island. Well, the Ontario Provincial Police don't think much of Bud. And the cops have been looking for the son of a gun that's been ripping the tar off the 401. They know the name on the truck signs up in the sun. Green Gables.
It's funny because Tom he started out doing bars, like I say, small bars for years, like I think 10 to 15 years, just hitting every small bar all across, particularly central Canada, but all across the country. And I'm told that, and you can witness it there, even when he ended up performing in big concert halls, it was like he was having a party with people. Everybody felt like they're clapping along and stomping their feet. I mean, you saw him in what's Convocation Hall, like a 1,000-seat theater or something.
Yeah, it was stunning. And when he came out and he brought that board out to start stomping on it, I felt really moved by that. There's Stompin' Tom stomping on his stomping board. And it really gets you right there. You can't get more Canadian moment than that. And then afterwards, he still goes down to the front and you buy a T-shirt and he signs it for you. I've never worn it. I've got a signed Stompin' Tom T-shirt and that's going on eBay. No, it's not. I'd never sell it. It's wonderful.
Well, you told me that story, and as a Brit and a new Canadian, you said it was such a Canadian moment for you, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to include that in the book, Dave." But that's something he did, and again, he had a good sense of business. He didn't have much of an education. He quit school in grade like 8 or 9, but he had a great business sense. And so after the show, I talked to a guy who was in his band, and he said after a show he would stay and he would meet if there were 1,000 people that wanted to see him, he would stay for 2-3 hours, sign autographs. But he sold a ton of merch. He said because this guy in his band said people didn't buy one CD; they bought all 10 CDs. Like, he made a ton of money because he produced a lot of it himself. And anyway, he was a smart businessman. So.
You know how Facebook automatically captions stuff?
Yes.
Apparently the Spuds are from Rhode Island.
As opposed to Prince Edward Island.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw
Bud the Spud, the most famous thing to come out of Prince Edward Island, other than Verna McPhee. She's also famous in
Stompin' Tom.
And she said, was that CHMA, the radio station? Yes, it was CHMA. Used to love that. So
yeah, the captions, the automatic captions that Facebook does are quite funny, and I talk fast, so they have great difficulty with me.
Yeah. I know they would do, and I'm sure they're having fun with your accent and my accent tonight. And Stompin' Tom. Now, of course, you've got the books out. were you planning to do any book signings this year?
I was, as a matter of fact, before COVID happened, I had done a couple. That's well, as you can see, that's a signing for Stompin' Tom from the book just came out last September, October. But we'd received a grant. I was going to do my first Ontario book tour, and we were going to hit 8 different locations. And a couple people who'd been in Stompin' Tom's band were basically going to go around with me and tell stories about being in his band. And they were going to play music, and I was going to sing. And that all got canceled because of COVID. Just in the last week, my publisher has approached me, and we're going to do something different. We're going to do a similar thing, but online. So I'm going to do a series of interviews with people I interviewed for the book. I don't know how long, 20 minutes, half an hour, and they'll talk about Tom, maybe sing a song, maybe I'll read a scene, and we'll put together, we're going to start a channel or something and do a whole series of Stompin' Tom stuff that's inspired by the book. So,
yeah.
So again, because of COVID, if I'd gone to Ontario, book signings, you often get 25 people there. These could be viewed now by people all across the country. So in some ways, it might work well for us. So
yeah, and it's funny with doing like the streaming show. You know, you often don't get tons of live viewers, but it remains there and it gets seen over time as well. You know, so.
Yeah, we're lucky if we hit 30 live viewers, Heather and I. But then by the end of the week, we've gone as high as 1,000, but we're generally in the 500 to 600 viewers. So, you know, even if they're only watching a minute, some people are paying attention.
Yeah. You have done other stuff. I have some more videos for you because you are not only famous in Amherst Siteville, as we always said we were. You're famous for a TV commercial.
Is that Chet Flanagan? I heard that he had a 14-week pro line win streak in 05 and again in 08. Call him Long Shot. Every Sunday he comes in here wearing that stupid coat. So smug. The slip! The slip! The slip! That's why he's a legend. Flanagan.
Flanagan.
The funny thing is, if my hair were longer, the fan would be blowing. They had a fan on me that day, a great big fan, as I walked in. So the fan would be doing the same. It's funny that that's a 30-second commercial. And as you know, I was probably on set for like 2 hours. Like, it doesn't take, you know, I wasn't in a lot. And it's probably the thing I got the most attention for in my career, certainly in terms of like people around town going, I saw that commercial, because it was one of those ones that they played during the playoffs. It's a lottery commercial for people who bet online for sports.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about it. I had to go to Dad and go, what's that? Do you know what what's it called? I can't remember what it's called. Crowline.
Crowline.
Like, you know what Crowline's about? And Dad was like, yeah, I play it every week, because my father's into sports. I'm not. But anyway, during the playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, they played it like 2 or 3 times every game. And so, and it came back, they played it, and then it came back months later. It was for a couple of years. And so it got a lot of play.
And Andrea loves it.
Aw, thanks, Andrea. It was fun doing it.
There you go. And you've done other telly as well. Hang on a moment. I've got more.
Oh my goodness, you worked hard.
What is that?
Days until early retirement. Freedom.
I don't even know how. Whoa, what is that?
Just a little project a few of us are working on. Hey, anybody come at you yet?
What do you mean?
You know, anyone bothering you?
No, there's a couple kids that were kind of getting in my face a little, but I can handle myself here.
I hear you. Hey, if you need a friend.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you.
I could be a friend to you.
I don't think we're gonna be friends.
Hard to get. I like that.
Whoa. Hello?
I love that.
You know, it's funny. Well, 2 things. One, I never knew he said hello, because I always stop watching after I leave. And And two, apparently that scene is a takeoff on a scene from The Shawshank Redemption, which I didn't know when I arrived on set. And Jerry D, the lead actor there, he wrote and is the star of the show. He was very vocal about saying, did anyone tell him this is a scene from Shawshank? He pretended I wasn't there and talked about me in the third person, like literally went, does he know this is a scene from The Shawshank Redemption? And I'm like, no, do I tell them that or you? It was one of the worst days on film or on set I've ever had, but a fun scene.
Talking of fun, another photo here. The last time I was over, we did get to do some stuff together. This was us together in Duckies.
Oh, you have a picture of that. Cool.
Yeah.
That was a fun night.
It was a fun. We did some stuff of our two-man show stuff, didn't we? And all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, kind of like that. We did a little bit of chatting, but then we also did a lot of readings from shows.
Yeah, which was fun. But we've seen what you've done on TV. You have something else coming up.
Yeah, I'm excited. I just got cast in a new series called Chapel Wait, which is based on a Stephen King short story, Jerusalem's Lot, and it's shooting here in Nova Scotia. Epix, an American channel, is producing it, and they've committed to 10 seasons, and it's my first recurring role, meaning I show up at more than one season day or one episode. I'm in at least the first 3 episodes. So
that's brilliant.
Yeah, I've never
done a show. I remember when you had a show where you had a mother. And if you've got a character who has a mother, you've really arrived then.
I've told that story a lot because I was in a movie called Red Rover with Billy Baldwin. It's actually a good movie if you can find it. And I said to you, Deb Allen plays my mother. And you said, you have a mother? Because normally here on the East Coast of Canada, films that get made are either American films or they're Canadian films from Toronto. And all the big actors come in, or the larger roles are cast from Toronto or LA, and we're the day players. Like I always, my character always has a description: grieving dad, angry townsperson, barkeep. Rarely, if you get your own
alcoholic.
You've played alcoholic. There you go.
Yeah.
If you get a name, but if you also have a relationship, but this one, I have a character. I'm a baker, and I have a name, and I show up in 3 episodes at least. So I'm really excited. But one of the things I started to say this earlier, and I saved it because you told me to, was we got together on Zoom, the full cast, and read the first 2 episodes the other day. So Adrian Brody and Emily Hampshire, I think is her name. She's from Schitt's Creek. They're the 2 leads, and Eric Peterson, a well-known Canadian actor. You'd know him, Dave.
Yeah, indeed.
But I got to spend the afternoon on Zoom with these people watching Adrian Brody, and and to me, like I read a monologue. I have a brief little monologue at one point. I play it anyway. I probably can't talk about what I do. No, it's all top secret. But anyway, I have a brief little monologue at one point, and I was like, Adrian Brody was just listening to me act. And I honestly, when I do TV stuff, usually if you're the day player, they don't bring you in for the full read, for the table read of the episode. So just to be involved in the table read was exciting, but to get to spend the afternoon hanging out with Adrian Brody and stuff was kind of cool.
So when do you kick off on shooting that?
When do we? August 17th, we start filming. I don't have my dates yet. Sorry. I got reading comments because that's what I do, Dave. I read comments and start paying attention. But yes, we start filming on August 17th.
See, Andrea thought Duckies was a brilliant night.
Oh, we had so much fun that night. We'll have to do it again. When the world becomes normal.
Verna says, I just reread that short story today to prepare for your interview.
I've never read it. I need to read it. I think it's in a book somebody said called Night Shift, a collection of short stories. So I should order it. I need to read it.
Yeah. I thought it was based on something else, but wasn't. I'm mistaking it for another film, I think, that was done of another one of his short stories. All his better stuff seems to be from short stories, I think.
Well, it does, because I think they change so much. Maybe if you do a novel, you have to change so much that people get disappointed because you cut stuff or whatever. Whereas with a short story, they can expand on it. So it's the world of Salem's Lot, which is a novel, if I understand correctly. But there was a short story first called Jerusalem's Lot, but it's based in the same town and stuff. So yes, Night Shift. I should look for that book. I'd like to, if I'm going to do the series, I should read the story maybe.
Yeah, I should explain. Verna is one of my research team on the show.
Oh, did she help you with this? No, I thought you were serious. I thought
wouldn't it be great if I had a research team? And this isn't my crappy little office. This is all a set made to recreate somebody's crappy little office.
Likewise, this is not my kitchen. This is just made to look like a maritime kitchen. I want to feel like you were in a Nova Scotia kitchen. Verna says yeah.
It's a prequel to Salem's Lot.
Oh, okay.
And does not end well.
Oh dear. Well, I'm only in 3 episodes, so I wonder what that means for me. I haven't read the 3rd episode. I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
I know I'm in it.
But I'm so pleased you've got that, because I know another actor who's in it, Julian Richings. I talked with him on a project a few weeks ago, and he was due to be in that, and of course COVID shut it down, and he didn't know what was happening with it. So
now, is he based in Halifax?
He's based in Toronto.
Oh, okay.
He plays Death
in
I can't remember the name of the series, but it's huge. He has lots of
another series, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he's done tons of films. He's just marvelous. So there we go.
I know you're interviewing me, but you have had recurring roles. I know on Broken, right? That you were very excited.
Broken was great, because that became 4 episodes. It was originally 3, and then they extended into 4. And not only did I have a mother, I had brothers.
You had a full family.
Yeah, I had Sean Bean as my brother, matey. Sean Bean.
I should be clear. My part is not huge. I don't have a lot of lines, but I'm there. So
yeah, exactly. I'm most impressed, Johnny. You've gone the whole show. We're now over time. We've gone 11 minutes past 9. You haven't used your sweat towel once tonight.
No, I'm holding it, but the fan helps. I asked you early on if the fan was too loud, and you said it wasn't. During our show, I don't have a fan, but for your show, I brought in the fan, and it's made a huge difference.
Supernatural, Julian Richings.
I love that show. Okay, we haven't watched the last couple seasons. Anyway, I will look for him then.
Yeah, and Verna is a big Sean Bean fan. I have written to Sean Bean's agent to see if he would like to come on the show. Can you imagine?
That would be great. I'm glad you did that after me, because it would be a huge disappointment if your first guest was Sean Bean, and next week Charlie from Amherst.
Yeah. So we're almost at the end time, but I mentioned right at the very, very beginning of the show all of your accomplishments, and one of those is that you're the father to 4 wonderful children, and so I wanted to share a picture of them, which they most likely will be absolutely appalled that I've done that. But there we go.
Yeah, they're better than any of my plays or TV shows. So yeah, I'm proud of them.
That I think that's a lovely photo.
Thank you.
Craig said that would be amazing. I think he means Sean Bean, not your children. But they are amazing too. We love them. Yeah, he loves Sean Bean. There you go.
That picture is only a couple of years old, but Spencer, my son to the right of me in that picture in the blue shirt, is now taller than me. So the others are about the same, but he's now taller.
Wow. Amazing. Time flies, Charlie Rhindress. Time flies.
As it does. And this chat with you has flown by. But one of the things, I don't, 2 things. It's made me feel old seeing all I've done. But on the other hand, thanks, Dave, because it makes me realize I've done a bunch of stuff. So
you have.
Thank you for all your work, like the videos and pictures. I had no idea what you didn't tell me about any.
I know. Andrea says you should come to the UK to reprise Duckies with me.
As soon as we can travel, we want to get over there so bad. I would love to do that.
Craig says loves you too, not just Sean Bean.
Oh, that's sweet.
It would be great if we can do something live together. But let me just put this out there before we finish. If anybody would like to see a Charlie and Dave streaming show, put it in the comments. Tell us maybe what kind of stuff you'd like us to do, what you want us to talk about, what kind of themes you want, and then we'll take it on board, shall we, Charlie? What do you think?
I'm up for it. We could even try to be funny, like, because today we were more chatty than, I don't know. Maybe we could be funnier.
Yeah. Verna wants us to go on a road trip to Grenoble.
Where's that? Is that in PEI?
It's in France.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you said something about Verna was in PEI right now. So maybe she said, did you say she was in PEI?
She's from PEI.
From PEI. Okay.
She's got red dust dirt in her veins.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I certainly know Verna, but I just didn't know where she is right now. I thought she was in PEI. So
Heather says, yes, Charlie and Dave show. And Craig says he would watch. Well, we're going to have to start planning it, Charlie.
Okay. And maybe we just keep it shorter, like it's little 15-minute chunks or something.
Yeah,
come on with a topic, and who knows?
Andrea says yes, would love a Charlie and Dave show. Anything would be wonderful.
We'll work out the details. But
yeah, with or without clothes, what do you think?
Well, do you want me to take mine off and then people can start to vote? We'll just see what they.
No. Okay, I have big finale music, Charlie. And I have big finale closing credits. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. It's been lovely. Thank you for your comments. Thank you to Charlie Rhindress for joining me from Amherst, Nova Scotia, Canada. And thank you all for being here for Mockdown Confidential with Esther Cox and Charlie Rhindress and Heather McIntyre doing a soft bossa nova in the background. They are the very best. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute treat. Stay on the line. I'll talk to you in a moment, Charlie. But let's play those end credits now.